think it'll ding at us. Okay, hi, Dana here with THRiiiVE with THRiiiVE. I saw it come at the tail end of the Autism One THRiiiVE, what was this, seminar at Cancer Control Society 2014. And Tami and I have been friends forever. She founded the Lyme-Induced Autism Foundation a long time ago, which was the cutting edge of the cutting edge of conferences for a long time. Participated in many of our summits, takes amazing notes. But most importantly right now is when I was at Autism One, I kept running into parents who were saying, oh my God, I'm working with Tami and my journey is just amazing now with my child now that I'm working with Tami with her energy work. So she's done all these evolutions, which I think she could go into a little bit better than I can. And so because of that, I saw her present at Autism One and she was amazing. And so I had her do 3 top 10s for us. But go a little bit into your metamorphosis over the last. Okay, sure.
I guess I'm getting more than 15 minutes.
Yes, you are. You'll get 21.
Right. So my son Michael, he's 17 now, and I'm kind of one of those moms that through my experience with Michael and that journey of being his mom and him teaching me has allowed me to awaken to gifts that I didn't even know that I had. And so learning along the way, you know, and Dana was actually a really big part of that because she introduced me to some amazing doctors that, and it was really awesome to see some of the things in my top 10 that were in Dr. Cowden's and Dr. Moreno's top 10, and I'm like, hey. So it's nice to be in alignment with others and like-minded. And but this thing with Michael, I mean, that's a big long story, so that would turn into about a 3-hour conversation. Several years ago, we started noticing that he was having some really beautiful spiritual gifts that we really didn't understand. You know, he was seeing energy. He was saying that he was talking to spirits, and it was very scary because I didn't understand what it was, and I didn't understand what was happening. Was he going to be, you know, like having a schizophrenic thing happening, or were these actually really, you know, spiritual, like psychic type gifts? Of course, like with the whole Lyme disease thing, you know, I start talking to other moms and finding that other kids are showing a lot of the same things. You know, they're, yeah, my kid, he talks to spirits. It's just like was really out there. Luckily, at the time, we were working with a naturopath that she was trained by Dr. Klinghardt and was able to, through muscle testing, ART testing, kind of dig through things and help me to understand. So I would watch her and Michael in prayer through a lot of the sessions, and her teach him how to work with the energy and how to understand, and was accepting of his gifts instead of thinking of it as some problem or something that needed to be fixed. So what I found was that when I accepted it as actual gifts, mine started opening up and he started blossoming, because as I accepted him unconditionally and not looking at him as something that needed to be fixed or healed or cured or anything like that, he started to step into his own. And he's 17 now, and he's going to be a senior, and he's looking at universities to go to next year. His one on the list is called Soka University in Aliso Viejo, because it has a Japanese program. He's super into Japanese culture, and he would be getting to study for a semester over in Japan, which he's super excited to work towards that goal. Just have to get through those SAT Act things. But he has I think an average of a 3.75, which was unheard of for my Michael. You know, really. So, but all of that came in the acceptance and the unconditional love and understanding. And as I worked on myself more, he began to blossom as well. And working on myself meant learning about energy, the energy that I put out into the world, and how that could affect him and affect other people in the family and other people I'm around. Learning how to work with energy, and the first thing on my journey was learning Reiki, which is a Japanese healing technique which helps to balance the chakras and, you know, clear out emotional and traumatic things. It just does a lot of really great things. And of course, as soon as I learned that, he didn't want me to work on him. So that was like that, hey, you're not going to fix me thing that I had to learn. So anyways, so in the last several years, I've been working with clients, and those gifts continue to emerge and amaze me, and through not just Reiki, but many, many other things that just come in and I feel are given to me from Spirit, from God, different things to do, and I'm always open to accepting and flowing with whatever lessons come my way, and it makes life a lot easier when you learn it quickly instead of the hard way, which is through a lot of times physical illness and disease, which we learned that was the first big lesson. So the first set of top 10 things that I've learned, and most of these things I've learned, yes, from learning from other people, but most of it is really through working with the kids, because I do have a practice, and I've got several hundred clients that I work with now, almost sometimes too many. I have a waiting list because it's just, it's something that, you know, the parents are typically not doing. They're working mostly all the time on this physical level, but when we start working with the emotions and the energy and sort of coaching and receiving spiritual guidance for how to manage certain behaviors or maybe not manage them, there's a whole opening there of teaching and learning that I've learned and then pass along to the parents if the kid decides to. One of the really cool things that happened was when I started doing Reiki, the first child diagnosed with autism I ever worked with lives in Mexico, and the mom just, and I said, can I practice? Can I practice on him? Because I was just learning how to send energy at a distance, right? As soon as I connected with him, and his name's David, I started picking up on like his feelings, like how when his mom talked to him, what did it feel like to be him? And so he, and I felt like the verbal conversation from him, like, oh, it feels like, you know, when you take binoculars and flip them backwards. That's what it feels like. My mom is so far away, and I want to get to her, but it's too much. It's just too much around me, and it's hard for me to really zoom in on her. And so I was just taking all these notes, like, wow. And then I felt this thing come through, like, yeah, I want to have fun. All this ABA therapy is just too much. It's too stressful. So I wrote that down. And so I had a page of notes, and I Skyped the mom back. I'm like, well, this is what I picked up from him as I was balancing his energy. And the mom is like crying and bawling. And really what it was some things that intuitively she already had the knowing of. But hearing it from somebody else just validated her intuition that maybe she had blocked. So most of my sessions really are that, me validating what intuitively the mom or dad already knows. So all the things on my top 10 list, all of you already know at some level, and so this is probably just a reminder. So first thing is about energy. Energy is everything. It's this computer, it's the hair on my arm, it's everything. So that means that it can all be, I guess, I don't want to say manipulated, but worked with, balanced. It can be, you know, if there's energy in your food, so you can infuse an energetic frequency into the food. Dr. Cowden and I talked on the way over about, you know, blessing our food. So whether you're asking for a blessing or infusing it with positive intention, positive energy, it can all, the saying that I was given in meditation is anything can change, anything can happen. So if you think about the sort of, that saying with God, all things are possible, that's the same concept. Anything, not just what I think, anything can change. So when you think about that, you know, if this child has been pre-verbal or not having verbal language for 30 years, obviously not a child anymore, does that mean that they'll never speak? No, because anything can happen. So that's how I view it, and that's what I've been shown. All beings are energetically connected. This is something you almost have to feel and experience for yourself, but that's how we actually kind of do distant healing. The way I visualize it is these little connections to everybody, right? And if I want to know what Dr. Moreno's going through, I can just like trace that connection to like, oh, there it is, and receive the information. And that's how we have this knowing of everything, because we're all connected. It's just about activating or understanding that. Also, energy can be harmonized and aligned with many different methods. So first thing I learned was Reiki, but we can do it through lots of different things. You guys mentioned already some different techniques, vibrational healing, even balancing with the essential oils, or balancing with pranic healing, or EFT, or body talk, or there's all kinds of different ways, but our intention is the number one thing. There's methods for all of these things, but what I've found, and I even teach Reiki students this, like once you get to a certain level, it doesn't matter what the hand position is or what it says the method is that you're supposed to do. If you know, if you're doing that and that's your intention, that's what will happen. When in energetic balance, the body is in a healing state. It's aligned with itself, with its innate knowing of what is in its highest good. We automatically, our body already knows what it needs to do. We just need to clear maybe some things out or figure out how to harmonize so that it's like, oh yeah, that's what I was born to do. So you can do that with energetic frequencies, and you don't even have to have special training for it. You can, ask for God to send whatever the healing is that needs to flow through you for whatever it is that needs to happen, and then that thing happens. That's how powerful it is. And what I find is that what gets in the way of that is our self-esteem, our doubting, our mind. But when we truly believe, then that's what happens, because anything can happen. The next thing is energy can be harmonized from any distance in physical reality and through multidimensional reality. So just what I was talking about, tracing those connections, because we're all connected. So it doesn't matter if my client's in Hong Kong or Dana, right there in front of me. It doesn't matter. It's just as strong. It's just as accurate. It's just as beautiful, just as balancing. And also with the multidimensional reality, what I mean is probably a little bit too off the wall for this conversation, if you could believe that. But, the different dimensions that are there, the different, like there's parallel lifetimes and past lifetimes and future lifetimes, and you can balance on all of those levels, which can be really amazing and healing. Many children and adults are energetically sensitive. I didn't realize that was what I was until I learned about it. I grew up very, very sensitive to other people's emotions. My dad would sometimes be one of those guys that would like yell at the waitress. And I remember being a little girl and just crying and telling my mom, like, but he hurt her. She's so sad. And being like her having to take me out of the restaurant because I would be so empathetic with the feelings, at least what I thought were her feelings. And the children, many children are like that too, and so they sometimes will take on physical symptoms, emotions, beliefs through what they call quantum entanglement. So sometimes when I'm working on a client, I will feel the symptom, feel something in my body, and I'm like, whoa, what was that? And then I'll check, wait, is that my symptom or theirs? Most of the time it's theirs. I heard a statistic, one of the healing practitioners that I've trained with, Dr. Hector Garcia, he said that 75% of the symptoms in our body are not even really our own. They are things that we are quantumly entangled and pick up on from other people, and it's a message. And so when I get a symptom for somebody else, as soon as I address and know that it's somebody else's, it dissipates, because then that healing has been sent, or that acknowledgement has been sent to that person. So just because a child has a certain symptom does not necessarily mean that it's theirs. And I've had kids show me through their as I'm working on them, I'm like, oh, thyroid issue. And then I'll hear, no, it's my mom's. Like sometimes the children will show their mother's or their father's symptoms in their body and clear it through them. just like we clear for them too as parents. Polarity affects one's experience with energy and one's perception of good, bad, light, and dark. What I've found is that when we think something's bad, it's bad, and when we think something's good, it's good. But the 0 point there is to be neutral. So if there is, so not to see it as, let's say, a symptom as something negative. The neutral place would be to see the symptom as a learning or a teaching. What am I to learn? What is the body telling me about this? We can go deeper into good, bad, light, and dark and all of that kind of stuff. But, energetically, there's lots of things that can be put into those categories. And things, like if a child's having a nightmare or something like that, there might be fear involved. So, you can clear the fear, but when you can learn to be neutral about those things, then you don't give it any power. Number 9, an intention to shift, reverse, match, or mirror energy can bring about an energetic shift in the mind, emotions, body, and spirit. I've been working with this specifically with my daughter, Jenna, who's 12 now, so 12 years old, that preteen, challenge mom at every twist and turn. And so, I mean, everything I say sometimes is like, it's got to be the opposite. So one day I just, and I tell my clients this, like, hey, if something you're doing is not working, shift it, reverse it, and see what happens. So I decided whenever she would like kind of spout negative stuff at me, like, like you're just doing that because you only think about yourself, sometimes she says. Instead of me responding back with a like, that's really rude, or, you shouldn't talk to your mom like that, I just go, huh, and totally did something opposite that I normally would. Now our relationship's amazing. Like it's been the summer of healing because I've done exactly the opposite of what I used to do, because obviously it wasn't working. So I shifted I shifted my energy, and that brought about like a healing in our relationship. And then also mirroring energy, and I'll talk about that too, and it's kind of in one of my other top 10s. There's people that say that everything's a mirror, but I really do believe that a lot of what we experience is a mirror, and I've seen that with my kids as well. That when Jenna would get all angry like that, when I looked at it through the lens of like, maybe that's a mirror to me, and I checked myself, oh yeah, I had something going on there I had some underlying anger. She was mirroring it to me so that I could heal it. So there's lots of those types of experience. The other thing is about energy exchange. It's a universal law. The energy you put out is what you get back. So if you put love and light and all that kind of stuff out there, that is what you get back. Sometimes you'll get back a mirror for something else you need to work on or a lesson, but certainly if you put negative out, then that's what you're going to get back. And, there's even the law of energy exchange also applies to money as well. I know a lot of healers that are like, no, I just want to give it for free. And I'm like, go for it. Give it for free. But if you start to feel drained and your energy drained, then the law of exchange is off. So, so there needs to be some kind of, exchange, whether it be, like I do a free Reiki 1 class, and one of the concerns was, would that drain me, giving so much? Because I have like 150 students on there right now. And, to offset that, what I did was I said, whatever you feel like you would have spent on this, please donate. And I listed things. So there would be a giving back in some way, and I don't feel drained by it. So those are my top 10s about energy. The next thing I wanted to talk about was soul purpose. And this also is not specific to autism, but it's kind of for, everybody. And these are from my experiences and what I know to be the truth for now. But I'm always open to more awakenings coming, and maybe something will shift and change, or maybe you'll feel aligned with this like I do. But this is what I've experienced and to come as my knowing. And that is that we are all here to learn and experience things to move our soul forward, to help us to be more compassionate beings. So this is this ascension, this awakening, these things that come our way so that we'll continue. It's like our soul wants to evolve to this more compassionate, loving level. We are spiritual beings in a physical body. Now, our physical body doesn't always represent our divine essence, but that's why we need to treat our bodies with love and respect and compassion as well. But if you were to be shown you, yourself, your divine essence in a mirror, you would be blown away at how amazing and beautiful your divine essence is. And I was blessed to, in a meditation, be shown that, and I'll never ever forget that. But all of us are just really, really beautiful divine beings, and so we need to know that, especially when we feel, like not so good. We are born very energetically open with an ability to see, hear, feel, and know spiritual guidance and truths. Have you ever seen a little baby? And it looks like they're just little babies, and they're smiling and laughing in their dreams. My mom always said, "Oh, he's talking to his angels." But I actually really believe that's true. And a lot of people say, and I believe this to be true, that we are born open, being able to see and feel and sense energy. But it gets squashed because as parents we're like, no, I don't see anybody there. No, when did that happen? And we can't see it, so then we kind of squash it a little bit in the kids. So a lot of us then as adults work to reopen those gifts. Number 4, our experience can vary from physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental things that we need to learn and overcome to move on to the next thing. So some people come into this life because they need to have a more physical experience. So those are the ones that tend to have illness and suffering in their physical body. But other people come in because they have emotional things they've got to work out. Or, just different things like that. And I've seen that come to fruition. Again, every experience is a lesson. I feel like if you get that, even something as crazy as 2 days ago, we were teaching our little puppy to swim because I wanted him to know what step, to swim over and what step to come off. So Jenna put him in the pool. Well, he slipped out of her hand, so it wasn't very gentle. Went totally under, looked us straight in the eyes, and refused to swim. He just sank, right? And she froze and was like, oh! And then I just went and swooped him up. And then he didn't even shake. He ran off and started chasing the golden retriever. It's my little schnauzer. And I realized there was big lessons for Jenna, but there was a lesson for me because I had a lot of sort of PTSD-like experiences with dogs in the pool because I had my past schnauzer almost drowned several times, have a stroke and fall into the pool, and I had a lot of fear about dogs in the pool, especially as they got old, which is why we were teaching him. But it was as if I was the Zen lifeguard. I'm like, whoosh, here, he's fine. And so then I realized I had cleared and I had healed that, so that was my lesson. Him doing that was my lesson, that, yeah, you're good now, you got that, you're clear of that. So you can probably think of lots of things, and in the whole autism thing, there's many, it's rich, it's infiltrated with lessons. Every being is both a teacher and a student, and so that's pretty self-explanatory. So although I act like I'm teaching up here, I'm also learning from you guys at the same time. We're in connection in that way. Number 7, every soul is connected to all knowledge that ever was and ever will exist, and remembering to connect and receive that information is part of our soul purpose. So if we want to know anything, there's ways we can connect to that energy and receive. It's a matter of, are we in the space to be able to receive? So that's why I said most of this stuff is all knowing for you guys, because you just do. Number 8, we decide upon soul contracts before we were born. I do feel like we come in for certain purposes, certain soul purposes for this life, and if we get a little bit off track, it's called a soul bump, when something kicks us into gear to get back on our path. And there's a book that I heard her speak, Danielle McKinnon, is called Soul Contracts, and some of that, I heard her speak, and it totally resonated with me from what I've felt with my own self and my clients too. Number 9, we're all born telepathic and communicate this way in our spiritual selves. And this is also how I work with kids that are nonverbal, and I know it's super out there, but we all have had telepathic experiences. You know, the simple explanation is like, you know, when you think, oh, I wonder if I should call that person, and then 2 minutes later that person calls. Well, you picked up on that, right? Or, you know, it happens to me all the time. Like you've even, Jana, you've even called me when I've been thinking about Dana, and then she calls or she texts or she does something, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're with it, we got it. You know, so that's the easy way. But you know, it can be even more detailed. You know, there are moms that do telepathically speak to their children because the kids that are less verbal tend to, it's like that tends to be a heightened or more stronger way that they can communicate since they don't use their voice as much. It's just like a blind person, their hearing might be more fine-tuned because they're not using that sense. So it's the same thing with communication with the kids. And also remembering our divine essence is part of our soul purpose. And I feel like that's part of our journey here is to just know how, you know, we're all just amazing. Even if you think that guy's not amazing or Osama bin Laden's not amazing, there's still a beautiful divine essence there. I believe, and I've seen that every being has a beautiful light. Even things that look, even people and that do bad things or look like they're dark or whatever. You know, I just say, hey, I see your light there. Yeah, and it's amazing how then that light starts to expand. So, all right. Last thing is about the autism experience. This is kind of more specific to the kids. The autism experience is something chosen before birth as an experience. This is what I'm picking up with the kids. Experience that they would like to have because it brings such amazing growth on the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual levels, but not necessarily always for the child, but most of the time for everybody else around them. So it's kind of like a wham bam thank you ma'am in a way, because it's like, whoa, we can like make this huge difference for people all because of this one experience that this kid is bringing in. Autism is a label, and it's not a reflection of who they are. And this also, any label, cancer, Lyme disease. My Lyme disease really shifted into a huge healing level when I said, I no longer have that. Even though I kind of still had symptoms, I said, I don't have that. I'm not a Lyme-y. I don't have Lyme disease. Oh yeah, and by the way, my kid used to be diagnosed with autism. And that's what we said. As soon as we shifted out of that, things open. It's like we open space for more healing. And energetically, I remove the labels from people all the time. It actually energetically looks like a curse. So I actually clear the energy of any doctor that ever said it too. So I might have cleared you guys, I don't know. I'm like, he said that, oh, clear that. You know, no, he didn't. So if you need to have a label, you know, you can say, you know, this is a diagnosis of, as if it's a separate entity from the child. It's just something for the paperwork, you know. Okay. And again, most children diagnosed with autism are energetically sensitive, more so than me, and are affected by the energy of others, very, very strongly affected at some point, you know, which means like if Dana comes in and her whirlwind energy, and then Kellen's like, whoa, you know, he's mirroring her energy that she's putting out, and that's the lesson to like, now if you come to a calm space and calm that down, then a lot of times the child will then calm that thing that they're doing down. I'm sorry to use you as an example, but you're my whirlwind friend, so. The awesome child, I call them awesome kids because I think that's a better label if you want to label them. The awesome child is a master teacher to all who experience them. They really, you feel their energy and you connect with them. I mean, it's like, whoa, am I talking to an angel here sometimes? There's some of them are just very, very angelic, and just you can just tell that they are here whether it's in their knowing or not, they're just, very just beautiful souls. All are very spiritually in tune, psychic, clairvoyant, telepathic, empathetic, all of that. So as that example earlier of me, crying because the waitress might have been upset, amplify that by 100 of how the kids feel sometimes. They are very affected by our words, thoughts, ideas, and are tapped in on what those are. I've had kids tell me specifically they can read their parents' minds and know what they're thinking all the time. And some will not, usually the mothers, sometimes they'll say, not dads so much. I think dads sometimes, maybe they have a wall, or that maybe the connection is a little bit different in a different way with dads than moms. But if you have a lot of thoughts of, oh my God, he's so sick, or oh God, I hope he doesn't crash if we do the IVIG, you can pretty much guarantee that he picked up on that and will manifest it. So change your thoughts, change your life, right? One of the resources that I love for changing your thoughts is this book by Wayne Dyer called Wishes Fulfilled. I love it because it really helped me to recognize those sort of negative thought patterns, and then whatever it was, just flip it, just reverse it to the positive. And it's really beautiful because it's about manifesting. So I clear what I call negative manifestations from the kids all the time, and that's when somebody's thinking something's bad going to happen, or they're probably going to be hyper, or they're probably going to do this, and they get locked in that energy. Like, okay, well, if you want energy, I'm going to do that then. It's not that they're thinking, it's just that the energy matches and they do that. So it's that power of intention. So when we negative manifest, it reminds me of that saying, that worrying is like praying for what you don't want. So we have to flip that. So that's why working with the mom is so important and amazing, and the dads and the whole family, is that when we can flip their thinking, their beliefs into a really positive, beautiful vibration, then the kids start matching that and then really starting to show their amazing selves. Okay, number 7, all are here to stimulate an awakening for their loved ones. Now, this may not just be our awesome kids, it may be all of our kids, but I definitely see the kids as the teachers. It's the old paradigm of, like, I'm the parent, I know best. You'll get a kid that will definitely, like, put you in your place for that. They are the teachers, and we are here to learn from them. And they also learn from us too, but definitely not from this, oh, you're my parent, you're holier than thou kind of place. It's more of a beautiful flow of teacher-student relationship. But they definitely bring those awakenings. All show a mirror to those around them via their behaviors as a lesson for us to look at the energy we are expressing, which we talked about earlier. All are born with free will and would like that honored even if they cannot verbally speak their wishes. This is a key point, especially, well, for all of them, but I see this rising up a lot with the older kids, probably 12 and above, because when I work with them, and like mom's doing a lot of different biomedical things, we don't really know how they feel on the inside, and a kid in a constant state of like killing bugs, detox, and then ABA therapy, speech therapy, OT therapy, and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of like what, Dana's like that stress point. And some of the kids will, if you ask them, they will say, no, I don't want to do that one. I don't want to do that. It's going to be too hard on my body. Like, I don't want to go through that detox. Can I have a break? Like, why do we always have to be constantly beating my body down? Like, when can I just be like, have a time of peace? And maybe that peace is baseline, but they definitely have a free will, and when they feel like we're infringing upon that, what I've noticed is they are very powerful and can energetically block the treatments. So moms that say, oh, my kid's a non-responder, well, that's an energy blocker in my book. blocking the energy of whatever it is. It could be a supplement, it could be a pharma medication, or it could be homeopathy or whatever, but they will just block the energy and refuse to allow that energy in their body. And so you have moms that have been working, so that to me is the sign that, that they are not being honored in their wishes, their free will, and don't feel accepted as is. Many of them just want to know, which is the next thing, that they are accepted for who they are today, loved unconditionally for today. Even if that today means I'm slobbering all over myself and can't speak and am in pain, I love and accept you for today. Whatever tomorrow is, I love and accept you for whatever that is. And not projecting into the future or like, but if he would only speak. And I know that is such a wish, but I've just seen the lessons come so dramatically that when a child feels like they're not accepted for that day, some will just say, no, I'm not going to speak because I don't feel that unconditional love. I feel it's conditional from you. So that ultimate lesson they bring is that of complete unconditional love and acceptance each day and every day. And when mom and dad and family opens their heart to that, it's, again, what I've seen happen is space. It's like the water, and they walk right into their being able to show their divine essence to everybody. All right, that's my top 10.
Thank you. Good job, Tami.